We want to take our job seriously, but ourselves lightly. And that is the quote of the day. Welcome back to the Quote of the Day show. I'm your host, Sean Croxton of SeanCroxton.com. Today's featured speaker is Ken Blanchard, and Ken is talking about something really important. He's talking about the fact that we take our jobs so seriously, which is actually a good thing, but we allow that seriousness to bleed into all other aspects of our lives. We forget to have fun. We become our jobs. We take that seriousness home with ourselves every day, and we've forgotten how to find that child within. We've forgotten how to laugh. We just take life too seriously. We want to take ourselves much more lightly, as he says. And so listen up. Here's Ken Blanchard.
And I think we just got to laugh and let our child out. We had Tom Crum working with us recently. Tom is a good friend and an expert in Aikido. He has a marvelous book called The Magic of Conflict. He said when he works with kindergarten kids, he never asks for volunteers because the whole class jumps up. See, kids who are 5 years old, nobody quite has told them that they can make a fool out of themselves. And they think life is all about fun. Somebody says a volunteer, yeah, I want to be a volunteer. See? And he said, it's sad. If you work with high school kids, you got to pick people out. And with adults, you got to plant them in the audience. And we seem to, as we get older, kill the child in people. I started a golf university that's really fun, where we're teaching golf the way we try to train managers to empower people to be able to teach themselves. And we have a new video we've been working on, and we got marvelous footage of young kids, 5 and 6, 7-year-old kids swinging the club. And what do you think happens when they miss it? And we have some on video. When they miss a shot, they whiff it. What do you think they do? They laugh. They think it's the funniest. Did you see that? And then we have adults. We have some adults on film whiffing. I mean, they whiff it, and they look around, see if anybody's watching, Isn't that sad? So when I talk about humor, is to get your child out. We had a wonderful experience with one company. Fred Finch, who's one of our top associates and consultants, was working with a company in Boston called Integrated Genetics. And their company is 300 people strong and really working hard to try to accomplish the goals they want. And the president, Bob Carpenter, organized a meeting for the whole staff. And they told them that the first part of the day was going to be on strategic planning to plan the rest of the year. And Bob introduced Fred Finch in the middle of the meeting, and Fred got up and said that we've created a little film that we want to show to start the meeting. And they put the lights down, and then on came the first 8 or 10 minutes of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And it was just hysterical. If you have seen that movie, it's Matthew Broderick trying to play hooky, and there's a truant officer that's going to get this kid, And at the end of the movie, the lights go on, and they're into a skit with the top management team playing out the movie. And Bob Carpenter is trying to catch one of the employees trying to stay home and play truant and all. And they applied the whole thing to organizations. And he said to the people in the company, he said, you've been fabulous. I want to tell you what a wonderful group of people you are, and what you've done here with us is tremendous. He said, I want you to do me a favor. I have a requirement for you between now and the end of the year. I want every one of you to take a Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And it's not a day to get go to the dentist or get your hair done. It's a day to do something that you've always wanted to do but haven't taken any time. And he said, the only requirement that I have is that you write me a one-page note on what you did so I can vicariously enjoy it myself. And at the end of that, they all went out to the pool, and they had suits out there for them to get into and all, and they played games, and they had a party and a wonderful celebration on into the night. Do you think that made any difference in that company? You better believe it. People were just, flying around because they got to get into their child and be that. And whenever they got together, everybody was saying, have you had your Ferris Bueller Day Off yet? And all. I mean, what a wonderful idea that is. And we got to do that with ourselves too, don't we? We have to find some way to laugh ourselves. What about you personally? You need some framework to realize that things aren't that serious. And one of the things that's helped me is I have what I call my zoo mentality. And my zoo mentality was a label that my wife Margie and I used when our kids were young. We would go visit friends. I've never been much into sightseeing or, going shopping. And so I always got the assignment to take the kids to the zoo, whoever we were visiting, and I'd have all the kids in the neighborhood. And in my observation in going to zoos, it seemed to me pretty silly that parents and people would take their kids to the zoo and then spend all the time yelling at the kids. And so my decision is when I went to the zoo, I got into my zoo mentality, which meant whatever the kids did, unless it put them in danger, was all right with me. And if they grabbed ice cream and banged it in their head, I would grab ice cream and bang it into my head and all. And we just had a marvelous time. And I started taking that zoo mentality into our organization and to other organizations, because I find if I say when I get up in the morning and I head into an organization, I'll say I'm going to put my zoo mentality on, it makes it kind of fun because you never know what kind of animals are going to come at you. I mean, some organizations are better than a safari, really. I mean, you see lions and tigers and all kinds of things that want to. Other companies, you go in and you see beautiful flowers and birds and things like that are there because it's just a different environment. And I find if I have my zoo mentality, I can do what Morris Massey always talks about, is take my mental helicopter to the ceiling and not necessarily think that it's all so serious. And if I want to start my day, I have a technique that I use now once in a while. Irv Dardick used to be involved with the Olympics. He's a medical doctor, and he was telling me one day that, jogging, which I used to do, people say you have to watch because you could hurt yourself. What you should do now, people say, is walk. And I have never got excited about walking and felt I could get my heart rate up. And Irv said that I should skip. He said the neat thing about skipping is that it's more aerobic than walking, but less dangerous than running. And see, when you're skipping, something's always on the ground, see? And also, the wonderful thing about skipping is I dare you to skip and not laugh. Because the minute people skip, what do? They're back in their kids, And Irv had started some skipping groups, and I've been involved once in a while skipping with people. It is so funny watching the people drive by while you were skipping down the road, and they almost run into the telephone pole. They just can't believe it. But it's a wonderful thing, and you don't have to skip a long ways. It's hard to skip for a couple of miles. But, as you walk along, all of a sudden skip a little bit, And it just is a nice, fun kind of thing. I just love it. It just invigorates me. And so the H is around humor and not really necessarily taking yourself so seriously. We want to take our jobs seriously, but ourselves lightly. Whenever I have a major birthday in our company, there's a massive roast. And people are pushing and shoving of which skit they're going to do, because I'm a very roastable person. But I tell you, the first time in my 40th birthday, my mom happened to be out here for the roast. And the place is going wild, and I got tears coming down. And my mother turned to me, and she says, if you're in charge here, why is everyone laughing? And the point is that they should, because we are funny beings. I mean, we are really put together in interesting ways, aren't we? We just have to laugh.
That was Ken Blanchard. That comes from Ken's audio program called Personal Excellence, available at nightingale.com as well as audible.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. Tomorrow's episode, of course, is Finance Friday, where we talk about all things money mindset. And tomorrow's guest will be Mr. Joe Vitale. And I will see you then. Peace.